Welcome to tonight's live stream. I'm going to get started in a moment. I just need to let everybody on social media know the stream is getting ready to start. Let everybody on social media. What's going on that Wednesday night here? What's going on D 78.2? I will be doing a tribute video to Sidney Poitier tomorrow. I'll be filming it, and I hope to have it up on Sunday. I was saddened to hear about the passing of Mr. Poitier. I mean, he was a legend and an icon. He was a truly great actor and a truly great man who put himself on the line in the civil rights period. So he's a man who I have great respect for. So I'm really sorry to hear about the passing of Sidney Poitier. So I'm definitely going to be doing a video about him tomorrow. Queen Jet Black, glad to see you here. I'm going to get started in a minute, but before I do talk about tonight's topic, I really want to get into the perfunctory for tonight's show. Now, I have been a very busy man this week. I have appeared on 2 live streams that I think you guys definitely want to take a look at. On Thursday, I was on G2786's channel, and I did a live stream with him. And if you want to check out my live stream with G2786 Random Topic Thursdays that I usually do with him every Thursday, you can check that out after the show, or you can check it out right now if you want to. So that was the first show that I did this week. The second show that I did was a major one, was with YouTuber Kid Organic, and we did a show this afternoon, and you definitely want to check out that one because that was an incredibly powerful discussion between myself and one of the most popular YouTubers on this platform. Check that out. I've been on multiple platforms, and that's all part of what I try to do because I'm all about trying to collaborate with positive brothers and trying to present a positive image of black manhood and that black masculinity and show that we can go out here and work together. Now, as also part of the perfunctory, I want to talk about the progress report on the John Haynes at Death's Door comic. And right now, I talked to Antonio Balderi. He says he's finished page 26 and page 27. So we're getting closer and closer to the finish line on this book. And I'm really glad to see that we're moving forward on the comic. I'm hoping to have that comic on Kickstarter sooner rather than later. I want to get all the art and the cover done so that all you can do is just contact the letterer, and I'll just be able to just get this comic ready for printing and shipping to everyone once I launch the Kickstarter. So I want to thank everybody who has donated to the Patreon and donated to the Cash App. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be able to get this comic to the marketplace, and it wasn't for your support, I wouldn't be able to get this project out from a concept to script into finished pages that are done. Now, with that part of the perfunctory done, I want to talk about the SJS Direct 2021 books, and I have several of them right here, Stop Simping in Cyberspace, E-Steam Cancelification, and ISIS Revenge of the Cybergods. I have to find my John Hayes Taking Care of Business, but all those books are available on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format, and you can also get those books on Smashwords, the iBooks doing Google Play. And every book you buy helps keep this channel on the air, so it's greatly appreciated. So you can get my books here on Amazon, and I'm working hard for some weekend book sales, so I'm hoping everybody comes out and picks up some books. Now, with all that said, I'm going to get into tonight's topic. And tonight's topic is something that I believe Black people really need to get serious about, and that is the bootleg problem we have in the Black community. Now, bootlegs have always been in America ever since the inception of slavery, and the first historical bootleg was your Black pastor. Now, your Black pastor was I'm sorry, Nightingale Wednesday Night. I'm hoping this is a little closer. Let's see what this microphone is in the app. But before I get into that, let's see. Okay. Is that any better? I think that's a bit better. Okay, let me see what's going on here. All right, thank you. Thank you, Nightingale Wednesday Nightmare, for letting me know about the audio issues. I turned it up to the max as related to the microphone, so that should get things done. But I was getting to the subject of the Black bootleg. Now, your Black bootleg has been a problem for over 400 years, and your Black bootleg is an individual who your white supremacy can go out here and use as a tool. Now, your Black bootleg, this is a guy who thinks he can go out here and brown nose these white people, and because he thinks he can brown nose people, he thinks this will curry him favor. And this guy or girl, they are looking to get brownie points with their oppressor in the hopes of getting some favor from them and possibly getting some extra crumbs from the master's table. So when it comes down to this bootleg has been a problem for over 400 years, and they sell out the whole foundation of Black people becoming empowered, and they impede our ability to make progress as a people and a collective, because most of these bootlegs, they value the emotional and economic security of the master rather than having faith in God to provide for them when they become free. And that is one of the reasons why we have a problem with freedom here in America for Black people, because these bootlegs would rather live under a state of oppression where they believe they will be more secure rather than going out on God's promises and working towards having freedom. Your bootleg would rather sit there and have a guarantee of a white person or a non-Black person's biscuits, or a white or non or Black person's cornbread, rather than go out here and farm their own corn, or go out here and grind their own corn to make their own cornbread, or go out here and grind their own flour, milk, churn their own butter, and make and get their own milk to make their own biscuits. When it comes down to the bootleg, he or she feels more secure getting the crumbs from the master's table and the leftovers from the master's table than going out here and owning his own table and making his own food. And because he feels more secure about getting somebody else's leftovers, this is why many Black people who want to go out here and get their own wind up getting tripped up by these bootlegs. Now, your bootleg, this is a person who is very insecure, and they get scared when you start talking about empowering other Black people. No, your bootleg, he gets scared because he doesn't or she does not want any sort of responsibility, and because they want others who are white and non-Black to take all of the responsibility, they are willing to go out here and betray the race so that they can gain favor and they can gain these little crumbs for themselves. Your bootleg is an opportunist who has no character at all. Your bootleg has no dignity, no self-respect, and no self-worth. And your bootleg will betray anyone to go out here and gain that favor with their oppressors. And they will sell out anyone in order to gain some favor with their oppressor. And that bootleg has been, again, a problem ever since the first slaves came on to the shores of America back in the 1600s. And they have been, I would even say they were even before that, that they would get in there, get on the boat, practically snitching on the slaves on the way to the Middle Passage. Because your bootleg, again, all they want to do is gain favor with the oppressor, hoping to get whatever they can out of them, especially getting their emotional needs met by this slave master. Now, examples of your bootleg are your Black pastor, who is one of the biggest bootlegs to ever grace the Black community. Now, your whole Black pastor, he originally started out as a spy to go out here and report with the doings and the comings and goings of most of the slaves. So your pastor was not about going out here and teaching the word of God to people. No, in a lot of cases, your pastor was a spy who was put in a place of authority by your white slave masters, and his ultimate goal was to ferret out information from the slave quarters and then report it back to him. That was the original job of the pastor, in addition to promoting a religion that is based in the Bible but does not really teach the Word of God. Now, your pastor, he again was one of the biggest bootlegs, and the whole thing that he bootlegs for is again that favor from his slave masters. And because he wants to gain that favor and approval, he will go out here and snitch on the slaves, and he will go out here and turn on his fellow brothers and sisters. And your pastor has no problem going out here and doing things like flipping on people. And a lot of those people will never know that they were flipped on by this pastor, because they will think, oh, it was just the master figuring it out from one of the other slaves. But your pastor was the guy who went out here and snitched on people, and he kept it real quiet, because after he got his extra biscuit or his extra cornbread or another piece of pork, he was satisfied with getting his, and he could care less about the collective. And that is where I see the foundation of that whole mindset first got instilled. And the other place that this mindset got instilled in Black people was with the whole house slave, field slave narrative. Now, your slaves worked in two different sections of the plantation. There were the field slaves, who were usually dark skinned, and then there were the house slaves, who in many cases were light skinned, or if they were dark skinned, they oftentimes got that position because they would snitch on the other slaves in the field, or they would go out here and brown nose to the slave master or the overseer. So your bootlicks that were as related to the plantation, the house slave and the field slave, they would work to gain the approval of the slave master. So some of these field house slaves got that job because they were born biracial. They were as a result of the master having sexual relations with slaves in the slave quarters, and because they were light skinned and could pass for white, he would put them in the house, and that would make them appear to be somebody who would have favor with him. Others got that whole position of a house slave by being these loyal and dutiful slaves who would throw other slaves under the bus. Now, these bootlicks, they would go out here and go out here and again snitch on slaves they thought were planning to escape or planning to poison the master, or were just out here talking about trying to do things for themselves. And because these slaves wanted to curry favor with the slave master, what they did was they went out here and snitched to gain those brownie points and to gain things as related to getting his approval. And they also went out here and snitched on the slaves because that meant, again, and they would also get that, in addition to the extra piece of cornbread, they would get some of the better clothes that the slave master had. Because oftentimes the slave master would give people the hand-me-downs that he had, and the house slaves would get the better clothes. And that was another reason why we had a lot of bootlicks. They wanted to dress better than the other slaves, who oftentimes got scraps or raggedy shirts, or even just a little pair of pants or a shirt, and that was it. They got some of the better things as related to the slave master's clothes, and sometimes they got to wear the slave master's shoes before he could wear them because they needed to break them in. So your house slaves, they got a lot of benefits from the system of white supremacy, and that's why they are extremely loyal to the system of white supremacy. So these are just the start of the bootleg problem we have here in America. And sadly, as history has gone on and time has gone on, the list of bootlegs has actually gotten worse over time. We started with other slaves snitching on the Middle Passage. Then we had the Black Pastor. Then we had the house slave. And after the slaves were freed, we had other types of bootlegs who were coming across during the time of Reconstruction. We had a lot of these. Yeah, the overseer was another bootleg too. Yeah, there were black overseers, and I'm sorry that I forgot him, but there were black overseers as well who were out here looking to gain favor with the system, again, for that extra piece of cornbread, that extra biscuit, or extra piece of pork, or even some new clothes or new shoes. These were all things that allowed many of these slaves to believe that they were gaining benefits, even though these slave masters were just giving them scraps and trinkets so that they could maintain power. Because the whole thing that they were doing was fostering that codependent relationship so that they could continue to maintain power over the slaves. And that's one of the things that they did with their codependent relationship, was they wanted to make these bootlegs appear to be in a dominant position. And what they wanted to do was be able to say that these were favored people, in the system of slavery and white supremacy. Thank you, Ace Thunder, for the super chat. He says it was meritorious manumission, and yes, that was a definite part of the whole system. They wanted to get where these bootlegs got freedoms as related to the merits of their bootlegging. So the more black people a bootleg went out here and snitched on and turned on, the more favors and benefits he got from the system. Now, your bootlegs, again, they were not interested in empowering black people. No, they were interested in gaining power from white supremacy. And it's their obsession with gaining power from white supremacy that has them looking for all of those crumbs from the master's table and looking for clout with racists and white supremacists in order to gain the brownie points that they believed would get them favor. Now, this bootleg problem continued to go on here in America during the Civil War because we had some of these slaves who were out here fighting for the Confederacy, as dysfunctional as that was. And even after the Civil War, during the Reconstruction, we also had bootlegs who would go out here and snitch on black people who were starting black-owned businesses and going out here and trying to go out here and build the black economy. Some of these guys would snitch to the Ku Klux Klan, and this would lead to some black people getting lynched and some being put in jail. So they were thinking they would go out here and get points with these white people, and these people supported terrorist organizations like the Ku Klux Klan, but it didn't matter to them because they were going to try to get some favor with their former masters, and they were trying to keep the old Southern tradition alive, even though the old Southern tradition did not benefit them. Now, your bootlegs, all as history went on, and we went into the 20th century, we also saw your bootlegs not only in the Jim Crow South, but we also saw them in the North. And your bootlegs, again, in the North, where it was supposedly free, these people went out here and supported discrimination against other black people. They had no problem because this was the foundation of what I call the I got mine, screw you mentality. And your bootlegs, this is a value for them. They've got theirs. They've got their biscuits. They've got their cornbread. They've got their run over used shoes and farted in clothes from a white man. So they feel like since they've got theirs, they don't care about helping the next brother or helping the next sister because they've got theirs. And your bootlegs, they are all about getting theirs at the expense of the collective. Yes, Nightingale Wednesday Nightmare, it is a lot like Stephen from Django and your bootlegs, like Stephen from Django, are willing to throw everybody under the bus to get theirs. They don't care about anybody or anything as long as they're getting theirs. And they don't care if other black people are being oppressed because they think they won't be oppressed. They think they have some sort of special privilege. And because they think they have some sort of special privilege, what happens is they are willing to think that, oh, this won't happen to me because the master likes me more, the white supremacists like me more, and because they like me more, they're not going to do me like the other person. That's just something that's just going to happen to them, not happen to me. Now, one of the big mistakes that your bootlegs make is thinking that they are the only person who is going to get this special preference. They don't really understand, as Professor Black Truth has said in many videos, that bootleg, it does not have a retirement plan. And bootleg doesn't have a retirement plan because your bootleg is only a tool that white supremacy uses to go out here and undermine any black person who was out here seeking to be empowered. So once they finish using the bootleg, they go out here and they, as Professor Black Truth has said, go out here and break their toys. Now, the reason why they break their toys is because they don't want the black people to have any of the information that the bootleg has, and they also just don't have a use for the bootleg anymore. So bootleg is not a job with a retirement plan, but many black people, they still think that they have some sort of advantage, and they don't have an advantage at all. And historically, we started to see more of the bootlegs come along during the dark days of Jim Crow, and we also saw them coming along during the civil rights movement, and we also saw them especially come along during the rise of the feminist movement. Now, your bootlicks during the civil rights movement wanted to undermine black people trying to move the race forward in getting equal rights in this country. And oftentimes they would speak out against people like your Malcolm X's and your Martin Luther Kings. And they would be these scared Negroes who would sit there and be like, you just need to leave these good white folks alone. Now, we've also had celebrity bootlicks during Jim Crow. We had people like your Bill Bojangles Robinson, your Hattie McDaniel, and your Stephen Fetchit. And these were people who, again, got the I got mine, screw you mentality. And as long as they were big shots in Hollywood, they didn't really care about other people's freedoms and other people's rights being trampled on. As long as white people could see them on the screen, they had no problem with black people being lynched. They had no problem with black people being treated as second-class citizens because they thought they were in a special place, and because they thought they were in a special place and the white supremacists liked them, they would go out here and have no problem saying that they did not support civil rights at all. And that was one of the things that made these type of bootleg celebrities an absolute nightmare to deal with. Now, these were people very different from your Sidney Poitiers, the late Sidney Poitier, your Bill Cosby, your Harry Belafonte, the late Ossie Davis and Ruby Dee, who were actively fighting in the civil rights movement. Those people cared about black people, and they fought on the front lines of the civil rights movement and put their careers on the line because they cared about black people. Whereas your bootlegs didn't care about black people, they saw themselves as special individuals, and they did not see themselves as part of a group, and they did not see themselves as part of a collective. And that's one of the dangers we had with your bootlegs during the Jim Crow period. They believed that they were a separate group, but the whole thing is their actions hurt the collective because it was all about them getting, again, their crumbs from the master's table and not going out here and supporting those brothers and sisters who need help. What's going on, Neo Star Productions? Glad to see you here. Yeah, D-Wood, it is true. These bootlegs did join civil rights groups, and they were, again, spies for white supremacy. They did a lot of dirty work for them. And again, you had underground infiltrators. They came in looking to, again, sabotage the civil rights movement. And that's what bootlegs were trying to do. Bootlegs were not interested in moving the race forward because they received a lot of benefits from white supremacy, and they didn't want to lose their favored status with the white supremacist slave masters, and they also did not want to lose their perks and benefits from white supremacy. Now, as the feminist movement went on and civil rights got us the Civil Rights Act and Voting Rights Act passed, we started to see an evolution of the bootleg. And what I call the baby boomer butter biscuit bootleg, this is what came out of the civil rights movement. Now, many of these bootlegs, yes, they managed to go out here and get themselves positions in government. They managed to get themselves positions in jobs. And once they got their positions in government and jobs, what happened is these people stopped thinking about helping out the next man. No, everything with them was all about them getting what they wanted. And that's when we started to see a total evolution of what I again call the I got mine, screw you mentality. Now, your baby boomer bootlicks, they have taken the I got mine, screw you mentality of their ancestors to another level because now that these people have gotten their education, now that these people have gotten their job, now that these people have gotten their spot, they no longer see themselves again as part of the collective. No, they see themselves as individuals, and they are the ones who like to talk this rhetoric about pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps. So many of your baby boomer bootlicks, they think that, oh, I got mine by going out here on so-called merit, but they don't want to go out here and reach back for that young brother to give him his first job, or to go out here and give that young sister her first job. No, your baby boomer bootleg, they have this whole notion of being an individual, and because they are an individual, all they're thinking about is, oh, America is a country of opportunity. And because it's a country of opportunity and I managed to achieve the American dream, I don't have to worry about another black person not being able to get their American dream. When you look at that type of mentality, again, it's extremely dysfunctional because other cultures, whenever the father gets his, he always tries to find a way to prepare his son and the other members of his community by ensuring they have something afterward. Whenever you look at the Hispanic community or the Asian community or some of the other white communities, they're always looking to make sure that tangible wealth and tangible opportunities are available for their peoples. But with your black bootlicks, they don't. They're all talking about they're an individual and how they don't have to help out other black people, and it's all about them getting theirs. And as an individual, they are supposed to look out for the best man, regardless of the color of the skin or as related to anything. So when you have a black bootleg, he'll go out here and he'll not hire another black man, and he won't go out here and help out another brother who's trying to get started. No, he won't go out here and try to give another person a hand that he got from other people. No, what he does is he swats those hands away, and if he's got a ladder that he came up, what he'll do is he'll burn the ladder down and to ensure nobody else will come up. And that is what makes the boomer bootleg a very dangerous person for black communities because he doesn't appreciate the opportunity that was given to him and he doesn't want to pay that opportunity back to other brothers and sisters. Instead, he wants to be what many call the age nice. He wants to be the top black person, and he doesn't want any competition to be out here as related to him. So what he does is, or she does, is go out of their way to keep other black people from being able to come up. So the baby boomer bootleg, they want to be the age nice. They want to be the one that gains the favor with the white folks. They want to be the only black person in the room. They want to be the only black person who is respected. And they think that because they were given a special opportunity, this means that anybody else who comes in the room may wind up messing up everything for other people. But the irony is that he messes it up for the entire community because he does not or she does not want to pay it forward. And these baby boomer bootlegs, they want to be on top and they don't ever want anybody else to come into the community. Not understanding when other people come in, what this does is it allows you to have a stronger economic base and it allows you to be have a stronger community. Now, when you have multiple people coming up, you have a base that can lift you up. You have a base that can go out here and help you out. And you have a base that can go out here and be able to go out here and gain more power for the overall community. But your bootlegs, they want to concentrate power so that they can continue getting their goodies, give backs, and giveaways from your white supremacists, and they don't really want anybody else to have power because they fear that somebody, again, will be their competition, and they fear somebody will backstab them because they backstabbed a lot of people to get where they were. And that's another thing that the boomer bootleg has done. They have no ethics and no morals, so they will go out here and backstab people, and they will go out here and throw up other people under the bus. So they fear any other person coming out here and empowering themselves, and they fear anybody having any sort of power. So these guys, like their ancestors, will go out here and snitch on other black people or look for ways to discredit other black people who are talking about black empowerment, talking about group economics. They will try to say, this guy is some sort of crazy, or this guy is some sort of sellout, or this woman is talking crazy. But the reason why they're doing that is because they want to protect their place where they receive their daily bread, and they don't want us to go out here and find a means to raise our own wheat, go out here, make our own flour, and go out here and bake our own bread and be able to go out here and work the way God wants us to work. No, the bootleg wants us to continue to depend on them, and they want to be able to be the only power broker in the black community. Now, this whole frame of mind, this is why, one of the reasons why the black community is struggling, because you have this group of bootlegs, and these bootlegs have put a stranglehold on the black community's ability to grow. Now, a lot of black people want to go out here and work on the road of black empowerment, but what happens is these bootlegs get in positions of power in the job market. These bootlegs get in positions of power in politics, and these bootlegs control the church, and these bootlegs go out here and they undermine any sort of process towards moving the community forward, because as long as these people are getting fed crumbs from the master's table, they have no interest in helping the young brother or the young sister go to college. They have no interest in helping the young brother or the young sister start a business. They have no interest in helping the young brother or young sister go out here and get a job, because that would cut into their money, and they don't want anybody cutting into their daily bread. Now, a very disturbing trend has happened as related to these baby boomer bootlegs, as related to them maintaining power. Now, your baby boomer bootlegs, they have managed to maintain power for years by sabotaging many, especially many members of Generation X, Generation Y, which are the millennials, Gen Z, and Generation Alpha. They have managed to go out here and maintain a power base that has kept black people from growing as a collective. And a disturbing trend I've seen with these bootlegs is they are now creating these Trojan horse candidates. And these Trojan horse candidates, what they are doing is going out here talking about changing things, but all they want to do is maintain power. So the first guy I saw that was a Trojan horse was your Barack Obama. And your Barack Obama, he talked about hope and change, but he really wasn't about changing anything for the benefit of black people. And like your baby boomer butter biscuit bootlegs, your Barack Obama again talked about change, but when it came time for him to empower black people, he was one who talked about, oh, I'm the president of the United States of America, not black America. And that is the kind of individualized thinking that the baby boomer butter biscuit Bootlick has is they always sit there and talk about, oh, they can't help black people because they are an American. They are not black, and they don't feel like they have to reach back for another black person because they believe in the whole concept of integration, and they believe that, oh, the racism isn't as bad as it was because, again, they got their opportunity and they're saying F you. If you can't do things, then that's your fault, not understanding that they wouldn't be where they were if it wasn't for the support of other black people. And this Barack Obama, again, he was a prime example of a Trojan horse bootleg. And the same thing with your Oprah Winfrey. She was another Trojan horse bootleg because she also came out talking about she was this ideal black female, but she oftentimes preached white supremacy on her talk show and promoted misandry on her talk show that promoted anti-black racism. And again, your white supremacy will trot out these kind of bootlicks in their nice suits, their nice clothes, driving their nice cars, talking about how successful these people were. And the only reason why they have that success is because they toe the line of your white supremacy and they do the dirty work of white supremacy. I'm good, Jerobi. How are you? If you guys want to donate to the Cash App, you can drop a donation there. It would be greatly appreciated. And it helps keep the channel going on. It helps me be able to keep doing these streams. So your people like your Oprah Winfrey's, your Barack Obamas, even your Ava DuVernay's, yes, they get their opportunities and they get praised by the mainstream media as a so-called black success. But those black successes, these baby boomer butter biscuit bootlicks, these people, they don't want to give black people anything, and they all they want to do is, again, live very well outside of black people because as long as they've got theirs, they believe they're okay, but they're not okay with other black people rising to another level. They don't really want to see the race rise, and they don't want to see the race grow, and they don't want to see black people coming out here and moving things forward. So whenever a baby boomer butter biscuit bootleg, they go out here, they're not about black people, but the whole scary part about them is a lot of these people, they are presented to us as Trojan horses. So this Trojan horse, it'll come out here, they will come out here, dress him up in a nice suit, dress him up in a nice tie, and he'll be very articulate and well-spoken. And you'll think, oh, this guy is somebody who is something I should aspire to. But these people are not people that are acting in our best interest. And that's the thing black people have to really think about is how these people act towards us, because it's their actions that do damage to the black community as a collective. Because these baby boomer butter biscuit bootlicks, they're all about making things appear like they're for black people, but most of their actions run against black people. Their actions are all about going out here and making themselves appear to be a person of helping out the black community and talking about change, but they're not about change at all. Thank you, Neil Starr, for the super chat. I really appreciate it. He says it's been a while since he's been around. I have been well, and I've been making videos for a while, and I'm gonna get ready to do some comic review videos next week. And that's something I'm working on because Kevin Greville, the creator of Blue Marvel, he gave me 2 of his comics to review, and I'm gonna have those up next week. D Wood 78 Part 2 says foreign-born blacks are the latest bootlicks. Many of them don't notice the racist patterns from whites because many have a go along. That's very true. And that's another group of bootlicks we really have to think about. Those foreign-born blacks, whether they be from the UK, the Caribbean, or Africa. I have run into a lot of these people, and they oftentimes acquiesce to whites and they defer to whites thinking they're going to get brownie points. And many of your foreign-born blacks, they have contempt for a black American, and they will go out here and throw a black American under the bus, thinking they're going to get brownie points. They think they're going to get favor with the white man or any other non-black. And I saw this when I was working at the supermarket food emporium back in the 90s when I was working with African delivery guys. So I know it to be true. And again, bootlicks, all they're thinking about is moving themselves ahead, and they'll step on you to do that. And Elijah Justice makes a good point when he talks about a lot of these black managers and team leaders. Yes, there are other guys out here like this. And again, they'll get loud and argumentative with a black person, especially if they're in front of a white person. And then as they're getting loud and argumentative with you, as related to trying to chastise you, then the same person is bootlicking to a white person. Richard, I'm not talking about all foreign-born blacks, but there are a lot of them out there who are bootlicks, and we have to acknowledge this bootlick problem in the world. We have to acknowledge it because it's a major issue that is hurting the black community. These bootlicks, these people, they are a serious problem, and we have to acknowledge that we have a serious bootlick problem here in America. Because when I look at Black America, one of the things that is undermining the progress of Black America are these black bootlicks who are just eager to get these crumbs from the master's table, eager to gain favor with white people, and or willing to go out here and destroy anybody who is willing to stand up for any sort of thing as related to foundational Black Americans and going out here and breaking it down. Thank you, John McKee90, for the super chat. He says he appreciates me doing the show at Kid Organic, which you guys can check out on his channel. And he says both of us are the real deal. Thank you for the super chat, Autobot Jazzman. I heard about that story from Black Up Inya and on his Facebook about those Jamaican guy who went with the white dudes. And that's another prime example of a bootlick. He was out here thinking, oh, because I'm out here with the white people and I've got a white girlfriend, I'm accepted. Not understanding the whole idea of going anywhere with some white people with some guns and you're a black man is just not smart. I mean, we just had the Ahmaud Arbery case where he lost his life, but this guy wants to go hunting because he's got a white girlfriend and he's out here with some white guys, and he thinks it's going to be to his benefit. I don't know if Mad Black or Black Opinion is going to do a video about it, but I may do some research and do that video if he doesn't do it. But I want to give him some time to go out here and do that video because he originally presented the story, and it would only be fair to let him go out here and make that video. Now, again, this bootlicking and what is really, again, a serious problem here in Black America. And again, it's impeding our progress as a people. When you have bootlicks in a community, they are not looking to go out here and empower other black people. They're not looking to build anything with other black people because they only see value in white acceptance and they only see value in white approval. They only see value in being second best, so they are not focused on Black excellence and they are not focused on Black achievement because their only achievement is being second best in a white supremacist system and gaining the position of being some white person's bottom person, not being their own lead. And that is one of the big problems with your bootlicks as related to the Black community. These people, they are just happy being dutiful slaves to white supremacy. They are happy with any little crumbs from the master's table. They are happy with any scraps and leftovers. And they are not people who are not interested in going out here for us to have our own, or to have the whole ability to go out here and make our own. They would rather take somebody's leftovers and garbage rather than go out here and have their own processed for making their own fresh food. No, they're just happy if somebody throws garbage at them and trash at them, and they think that trash is okay. And that's one of the reasons why, again, we have to acknowledge that there is a bootleg problem in this country, because the faster we acknowledge the bootleg problem, the faster we can work towards dealing with the bootleg problem. Because the only way we're going to move forward, I believe, as a people, is we've got to acknowledge that we have a bootleg problem in this country, and that bootleg problem is hurting us economically, because your bootlegs don't want to go out here and create black products. They don't want to go out here and support black owned businesses. And they want to go out here and try to find ways to sabotage black owned businesses, because these people, they don't want to see another black person have anything or help out another brother or sister. No, what they want to do is be the gatekeepers. And as gatekeepers, they want to be able to say they are the ones who dictate who becomes empowered in the black community. And really, that's just them, and all they want to do is keep that power to themselves. So these bootlegs, again, are people we have to deal with if we hope to move forward, because these gatekeepers, these are people we have to knock out of the way, and we have to knock them out of the way, because these people, they don't want to see black people become empowered. All they want to do is have black people staying on the plantation, staying in the slave quarters, getting whatever is left over after they get their top shelf scraps. And all they want to do is be able to tell black people what to do, like voting straight down a blue ticket, where they can get their benefits, but they don't want you to go out here and get any tangibles for yourself. They have no interest in you getting tangibles, and they don't want to see you be able to have anything of your own. No, the baby boomer butter biscuit bootleg, all they want to do is continue getting those crumbs, because that's how they have power, but they don't want to see you have any power at all. They feel, again, as long as they've got their government jobs, their civil service jobs, and they've got their pick and sexual access to white women or white men, they're okay. But they don't want to see you get yours, and they don't want to see us coming together as a collective, because if we come together as a collective, they can no longer be the age nice. They can no longer be the top person. They can no longer be the demigod over people, because these people, they want to be like demigods. They want to be the above the under the god that they serve, but they don't want us to be where we are out here having power, and we're able to go directly to the Most High, because that is what Yah or Jesus wants us to do, go directly to Him. But these people, like the Pharisees and the Sadducees, they want to be intermediaries who come between us and being able to get anything, and that is not right at all. I mean, we're supposed to trust in the Most High, Yah, and we're supposed to trust in Him, but they want us to trust in them, and they want to be the God over people, the demigod, because they want to go out here and be the top one. And Derek makes a good point. Yes, they are like crabs in a pot of boiling water, and all they want to do is grab you and pull you down so that they could climb up over you. And that's, again, why we need to acknowledge the bootleg problem in this country, because bootlegs, they are really, again, getting worse. And they're getting worse because many of us, we don't really understand how dangerous bootlegs truly are. We keep falling for the same okie dokes, like here in New York with your Eric Adams. He was another Trojan horse bootleg. And this bootleg, he came in talking about change again, but then when he got involved with these white leftists, played a different tune. And after he started playing that different tune around December, he then started to show his backside. And this butter biscuit bootleg has been going out here buck dancing and bojangling ever since, because he's arrived, he's got his spot, and he could care less about other black people. And again, this is a big problem because, again, we have a serious bootleg problem, and we have to start pushing back against these bootlegs because these bootlegs, they are out here making life hard for other black people, and they are willing to go out here and be agents of white supremacy. As long as they're getting theirs, they could care less about other black people. As long as they're getting their butter biscuits, their cornbread, their um, their two pieces of catfish, their hand-me-down suits, and their hand-me-down ties or their hand-me-down dresses, and they get to live in a room in the big house. They could care less about black people building their own communities, and they would rather watch a black community burn because they've got a little shack on the plantation or a little room in the big house, and they would rather be dutiful house slaves rather than go out here and help black people build their own community and get things like better schools, get the father back in the home, and do things that would be constructive towards empowering black people. No, what they want to do is be that, again, age nice, that top man, that big wheel, and they want to be able to strut around the community in their suits and their ties and driving around in their cars. It's just like what Ralph Ellison talked about in Invisible Man, where he talked about the guy in the serge suit and the nice shoes. He wants to go out here and dress the part, but he doesn't want to go out here and be his own man because he would rather be white supremacy's boy rather than be his own man. That's one of the problems with your bootleg male and your bootleg female. They want to go out here and put on the designer clothes. They want to go out here and drive the luxury car. They want to be the big wheels in the community. They want to lord over black people. Again, like Autobot Jasmine says, the talented 10th. They want to be this elite, but the whole thing is that they're not really an elite. They're a bunch of clowns who can talk a good game because talking is cheap. But if you can go out here and reach back for another brother or reach back for another sister, that is a text. That's an example. But these people would rather have the illusion of power because all they want to do is gain the attention of your white masters, and all they want to do is gain the favor of those white masters because your bootleg, they want to be liked overall. They don't want respect, and they don't want anybody to go out here and stand up and take respect because respect is not given, and that's the problem that the bootleg never learns. They're thinking that somebody is going to give them respect, give them the whole concept of the intangible of respect, but you get respect by standing up for yourself, and you get respect by going out here and setting hard boundaries for people. Any community out here that is respected is one that sets boundaries, but bootlegs don't set boundaries for anything. No, a bootleg, he has no boundaries at all because he will or she will compromise himself or herself to gain any favor with anyone. And that's why nobody respects a bootleg because a bootleg does not have the intangibles of manhood or womanhood. And because they don't have the intangibles of manhood or womanhood, they don't have any character and they don't have any integrity. They have no dignity, no self-respect, and no self-worth, but they'll come across outside, oh, I'm the smartest and most articulate, but your whole thing is we can see all of the weakness in your body language, we can see the weakness in your facial expressions, we can see the complete lack of self-confidence you have, and these things make it where people see that you're nobody, nobody needs to respect, and no one needs to respect you because you don't respect yourself. Because most bootlegs don't respect themselves, and many of them, I believe, cry themselves to sleep thinking about all of the immoral compromises they have made over the last few years to get what they want. Many of your bootlegs, they sit out here and They are just thinking sadly about all the people they threw under the bus, all the backs they stabbed, all the people they sold out. And a lot of these people, as I see it, they reap what they sow when your white supremacy eventually winds up coming for their pound of flesh. Because all the people that they stabbed in the back, threw under the bus, eventually these people reap what they sow, later than they sow, greater than they sow, when they get what people call their N-word moment. And when they get that moment, that's when they wind up becoming another toy that white supremacy breaks. Because your white supremacists, they don't really respect these people. They don't even like these people. They just see them as useful idiots. And because they see them as useful idiots, what they do is they string them along, tell them what they want to hear in order to get information out of them. Then, once they get their information out of them, what they do is reward them with some crumbs, whether it be a high-profile job or even a janitor job, and they go out here and they'll give them things like a lot of the higher-end ones, TV shows, or they'll give them some sort of little office job, and they'll give them that for the moment. But once they get what they want, eventually what happens is these people start outliving their usefulness as tools, and what happens is they wind up getting rid of these tools. And once they go out here and get rid of these tools, like what they're possibly, I believe, going to do to Don Lemon, and they've done to many others, like your Joy Reid I heard recently. They just, or your, what I'm seeing with your Roland Martin, that ascot wearing clown. They get rid of the tool, and then when they get rid of the tool, by either firing them, dumping them, or just getting or saying that their contract is up, that's when the tool winds up broken. And what happens is that these tools, once they get broken, they start really feeling bad because they no longer can get crumbs from the master's table. And that's when these bootlegs want to go out here and start talking about, oh, I want the help of black people, like your Roland Martin is doing right now. They'll go out here and dress up like your Roland Martin is doing now, talking about your dashikis and kufis and talking about pro-black. But the whole thing is they were never pro-black to begin with. They were anti-black, and they had no problem participating in anti-black racism as long as they got a little spot on as related to the black community, as related to getting favor with whites and non-blacks. But once they get kicked out and white supremacy breaks the toy, that's when these people want to come back to the black community. And that's where many who are foundational black Americans, we have to start holding the line, because when you acknowledge a bootleg problem, you have to realize that you have to hold a line as related to dealing with the bootleg problem. Once the bootleg has shown they are not loyal to the black community, we need to cut the bootleg off and let the bootleg fend for themselves. Because when it comes down to the bootleg has shown that they are not loyal to black people. So we should not have these people as part of our collective, because these people have shown they are not loyal to us. They are not loyal to black empowerment. They are not loyal to building a stronger black community. They are not loyal to helping out other brothers and sisters. They are not about moving the race forward. No, they are all about getting their daily crumbs from the bread of white supremacy. And what we need to do is we need to leave those people to their slave masters. And that's what black people have to start doing with these bootlegs, is we have to go out here and cut these people off. We have to cut them off socially so that they can't get information to take back to their slave masters to sabotage black empowerment. And we have to cut these people off as related to business connections, because they are not about trying to help us improve our business or bring tangibles to our community. Thank you, C Truth, for the super chat. He says, look at the entire Black Caucus as a bootleg example. And yes, we have to look at the congressional Black talkers, and we have to cut those people off by not voting for them because they are not about Black empowerment and they're not about representing Black people. Again, they only get power if we give them power, and the way we take power away from the bootleg is to socially ostracize these people, cut them out of our social circles, cut them out of our business circles, because they are not about helping us build anything. They are not about moving the race forward. And when you have a bootleg, the only way to deal with a bootleg is to let them have nothing to take back to their bosses, because once they have nothing to take back to their bosses, what happens to the bootleg is the bootleg has no more value to white supremacy. And when the bootleg has no more value to white supremacy, what happens to the bootleg is white supremacy wants to get rid of the bootleg. And that's why your bootlegs like your Joy Reid get fired, now your Roland Martins get fired, because once they have fulfilled their purpose, they are of no more value to your white supremacy, and they need to be just left out here and be left to their white slave masters. Now, some people will say, oh, we need to have forgiveness, but there is no forgiving an enemy, and a bootleg is an enemy to Black America, and a bootleg is an enemy to Black empowerment. That's something Black people really have to really see these bootlegs as. They are not just a guy who's out here who was just a nuisance, as some people believe, because they sit here and buck dance and tap dance. No, these are enemies of the Black community, and they need to be treated as the enemies that they are. And when you have an enemy who is a threat to you, you need to go out here and eliminate that enemy by cutting off all contact with that enemy. Because if you, again, yes, Joy Reid is supposedly not having her show anymore, See Truth. It was all over Twitter. They say that her show is ending and they're about to get rid of her, which is par for the course with your bootlegs. Once white supremacy finishes, has these people finish their usefulness, they get rid of them, and they're getting rid of Joy Reid the same way they got rid of Roland Martin, and the same way that they've gotten rid of your Simone Sanders. Whenever these guys go out here and they give these people these little jobs here and there, but it's not something that has a retirement plan. Like the Professor of Black Truth has said many times, bootleg is a job without a retirement plan, and usually your bootleg, they usually end two ways. They usually end up on the street alone, or they wind up dead because white supremacy realizes you have too much information and you're a liability to their plans. So they have to eliminate you one way or the other, and you can either suffer in obscurity and eventual poverty, which is the long death, or they can just take you out, and that's the fast death. So again, bootleg is not a retirement plan, but you have bootlegs who think, oh, I'm going to live comfortably in my old age, but you're not going to live comfortably, because what's going to happen is that they eventually are going to pull the plug on you by either a scandal to take your money away or to take your home or whatever, because they don't really want to see you rise to be any sort of threat to them. But again, Black America has a serious bootleg problem. Excuse me. This bootleg problem is one we need to go out here and deal with. We really need to go out here and realize that this baby boomer generation of butter biscuit bootlegs is a serious problem. And these boomers, they and their I got mine, screw you mentality is something that is doing damage to the Black community, and it is really impeding our ability to have Black empowerment. It's preventing us from being able to grow as a people, make progress as a people, and be able to go out here and work towards doing things like start building a base of Black-owned businesses, building a stronger political base as related to establishing a Black agenda, reestablishing our black families and bringing black fathers back into the community. And it is one of the things that is, again, slowing us down as a people. So we really need to think about dealing with these bootlegs because, again, we have a serious bootleg infestation. And I've seen it everywhere from your black politicians to your black entertainers to even your black comic collectors. I mean, I have seen many of your black bootlegs just practically enter a space and all they're thinking about is white validation, white approval, white acceptance. And these people, all they want to do is prevent us from being able to make any sort of serious progress as related to starting businesses or going out here and creating positive images of black people going out here and doing different things because they would rather be the white man's butler than be their own boss. They would rather be the guy who is the cream of wheat man serving up the cream of wheat rather than be the owner of the cream of wheat factory. And that is something that really, again, undermines our progress as a people. And that's one of the big problems we're having with Black America, this bootleg problem. And again, the only way we solve that problem is we've got to cut these people off, cut our connections with them, and let these people wither on the vine and die. And I mean die, not violently or anything like physical death, just walk away from them and have nothing to do with them and let them get their find a way to get their daily bread because they invested in white supremacy. And if they want to go out here and invest in white supremacy, let them get their bread from the white supremacists. They won't get anything from us as related to tangibles because they don't want us to have tangibles. So we're going to go out here and leave them to go out here and get their own from the people they love so much. If this is their God, leave them to their God and leave them to go out here and try to get whatever favor they can get from their God. Because if this is who they have faith in, let them go back to this false God and let them try to get tribute from them. So I really, again, look at this bootleg problem in this country as, again, a real serious one. It's one that Black people really need to think about. It's one we really need to go out here and understand is a serious problem because, again, your bootleg, again, especially your boomer butter biscuit bootleg, they are all about the I got mine, screw you mentality, and that is screwing over people of my generation, Gen X. It's screwing over millennials. It's screwing over Gen Z. It's screwing over Gen Alpha, and it's making it where there's no way for anybody to come up because as long as these old butter biscuit bootlegs have their fiefdom and they don't care about anybody else, and all they care about is promoting anti-Black racism and anti-Black agendas, but they'll talk about, oh, how they're all about change when they're all about maintaining the status quo. So that's what I want everybody to think about because, again, this bootleg problem, I'm seeing it just gets worse and worse. But the more of us that talk about it, the more we can really start making some inroads to dealing with Black America's bootleg problem. Neil Star Productions made a comment. He said, yeah, government and entertainment definitely have a bootleg infestation. There's just a lot of them in government and entertainment, a lot of them in the congressional Black talkers, a lot of them in Hollywood. I know for Hollywood for sure, the entertainment industry has so many bootlegs, and they're all over the place. It's just an absolute nightmare. And again, these people they're just about having their spot, having their job, and they're not about going out here and helping other people. And they are just, again, the worst people, and they just make it really bad for everyone. They just really make it where nobody can get anywhere, like going to work. Nobody can go out here and do what they need to do. They're not about getting other people getting skills, trades, or helping other people go out here and do anything. They're not about helping the next man. What they will do is throw another Black person under the bus because they want to have the top spot. And the whole thing is that God doesn't want us to be thinking about top spot with on earth. He wants us to go out here and reach back for the next man, and he wants us to love our neighbors as ourselves. And these people don't love anyone, but they don't even love themselves. They just don't. They just are all about trying to get what they want, and it's just really egregious. Thank you, Corvius Glade, for picking up The Man Crisis. I'm glad you're enjoying the book and learning from the book. I wrote The Man Crisis to help out a lot of men so they could break out of that paradigm. And that's one of the things I wanted to do with The Man Crisis, was help a lot of men who weren't able to get the knowledge that they could get from a father. So I'm glad you got something out of the book. So again, when I look at we have a bootleg problem in this country, and I would love to see Professor Black Truth tackle this topic of the bootleg problem. I don't know if he watches my videos, but I would love to see him talk about the bootleg problem, because it's a serious problem in this country with the black community. And if we're going to really start talking about black empowerment, we have to deal with the bootleg problem, because these people, again, they're in business, they're in politics, and they're practically choking the life out of the black community. So I'm going to get ready to wrap up tonight's stream in 1 minute. We got 52 likes, so the likes are already up. We got 36 in the chat. And I'm asking everybody to head over to Amazon.com to pick up one of my books. I've been working hard for some weekend book sales, so I'm asking everybody to head over there. We'll pick up a book or two. I've seen the state of mainstream black creators and IP these days, and yeah, it's really sad, Neil Star. There's a lot of black creators out there. They can't really get any traction because of these bootlegs, and they have really gone out here and made it where you can't get any new concepts to the marketplace. You can't get anything new, fresh out there, because they want to control the media and the narrative. They want to be the gatekeepers, and they want to be the bosses. And the only type of stories they want to put out here are the same old stories, whether it be the slave story, the Jim Crow story. They don't really want us to enter the world of black fantasy or science fiction. That was something Ava DuVernay helped out Sabotage with her Wrinkle in Time movie. And what they're trying to do with Black Panther 2, they're trying to sabotage that movie. And that's a live stream in and of itself, Sabotage being done to Black Panther 2, because they don't really want to see us creating our own images, telling our own stories, and bootlegs don't want to see us telling our own stories and seeing a world outside of the slave plantation. So I've seen what's going on again with black IPs and black creators, but we have to keep pushing and persevering, like I'm doing with things like the John Haynes series, the ISIS series, and the East Team series. So many great black IPs out there, but we have to continue pushing on. And that's, again, why we have to push past the bootlegs, because if we don't keep pushing past the bootlegs, they'll choke out more generations and keep us from being able to make real progress. And that's, again, another reason why we have to cut the bootlegs off, because these people, again, they are about maintaining their status quo. All they want to do is just keep telling us the same stories, where they can be the ones in charge, because they love having that victim position, and they love being in that place of codependency where there's a master that they can go out here and play the victim abuser game. And the only way out of that is for us to walk away from these kind of people and their toxic frame of thinking. So I'm going to wrap up tonight's stream, and if you guys, again, would go out here and please pick up the 2021 books like Stop Simping in Cyberspace, East Team Cancel Vacation, and ISIS Revenge of the Cyber Goddess, and John Haynes Taking Care of Business, and books like The Man Crisis, I would greatly appreciate it. And if you could donate to the Cash App, that would also be greatly appreciated, because that also helps me be able to stay on the air and continue to do more shows. So I want to thank everybody for coming out to tonight's stream, and I hope you'll be there for next week's stream. Everybody have a good night, and everybody have a great weekend.